minutes. We have also invited few of the deans and head of the departments to join whenever they're free, and some of them will also join for lunch, for interaction, etc. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule and making this reunion happen. Looking at the numbers, we are very excited. And this year we are actually doing number of reunions. And golden is always special. The gold is something. Okay, so what I'll do is, till director comes, I would just take you through. Some of you probably are visiting after a long time, just to give a glimpse of institute, some data, statistics, which will probably help you to know where we are, and also some of the challenges. So welcome once again. So I think if you really look at the institute as of today, maybe the three things which would have changed considerably from your time can be put in three words. Institute is doing very well. It's an institute of eminence, and there have been a lot of expansion, and currently we are also very inclusive. We'll see some of the statistics as we go along. So this actually gives particularly how are we positioned, particularly in terms of nationally and internationally in terms of ranking. Most of the national rankings put us at 1 or 2. That's the most common. But I think internationally as a university, we may be ranked as 197. But if you look at the international ranking, only in science and engineering, we are in top 50. And Institute has particularly done very well in terms of rankings for employability, global employability, and also in terms of entrepreneurial ecosystem, the number of startups, etc., which have come. In fact, the world has produced now about 1,200 plus unicorns. 3% of them are from IIT Delhi. Institute has grown considerably, so we are now going to touch 13,000 students, which is very large compared to we have. And we are also now postgraduate heavy institute, with almost 60% of the students belonging to postgraduate, with more than 3,500 students doing their PhDs currently in the institute. And in all these years, we have also 60,000 alumni who are helping in various ways. Currently, we are anywhere between 650 and 700 faculty, and the recruitment process is continuously on to add more faculty. If you really look at our graduation data, particularly the convocation which happened in 2023, there were a number of students who graduated were 2,358, which is one batch, graduation batch. Almost 1,000 undergrad students and about 1,000 master students, and 350 plus PhD students got their degrees in the last convocation. The institute has also grown in terms of programs. There used to be a BTech when you were there. Couple of years back, we also started Bachelor of Design. Many of the IITs have started. This is a degree program for students who come in industrial design. And there is also proposals to start 4-year BS program in chemistry, which is under consideration. There are a number of master's program. Other than MTech, we also have Master of Design. MSc was there at your time too. MBA, Master of Public Policy. MS Research was also there. Very recently, Institute also decided to have at least one MA program. And PhD is, of course, was there from the very first convocation in 1966. I think Institute has done pretty well in terms of, if you really look at the gender diversity. I'm sure at your time the number of female students and female population was very small. Now I think we are anywhere between 25 to 30% of the students on the campus are girl students. So very recently we had uh, the student-teacher interaction dinner in 3 of the girls' hostel, and there is something like 3,000 students attending these interaction dinners. And it has also done well in terms of faculty. Also, we have improved the percentage of female faculty on the campus. So this is, I think, very different from your time when it used to be. Uh, as you walk around, probably you'll also see a lot of new infrastructure on the campus. Keeping the growth of number of students, we need to also provide resources and infrastructure. So you'll see new buildings, new labs in large numbers. So the one which is on the top left is a new research and innovation park, which is behind cricket ground. The one which is on the top right is a Mittal sports complex. One of the alumni came and built a indoor sports facility for us, Saurabh Mittal. The one which is on the bottom left is a lecture hall complex, which accommodates thousands of students with various classrooms from 30 to 500. And the one which is on the bottom right are the 2 brand new hostels, which were inaugurated last year. And they share a common facilities in terms of particularly the dining and other aspects. And it also has both male and female students. Yeah. And institute has also grown, beyond Housecast campus. There is a Sonipat campus. We have 50 acres. There are some constructions which are happened, about 10 acres constructions have happened. We do large testing facilities there, which we cannot accommodate. There is a lot of characterization facilities for in science and engineering which have been set up. There's also an incubation center and a facility for organizing conferences. There are more things which are planned. Right now, we are in the process of developing another 50-acre campus which we got in Jhajjar, Haryana. Jhajjar has been earmarked for all the activities which are related to healthcare, biology, genomics, and medtech, assist-tech, sports performance, anything which is related to medical and assistive technologies is being planned. And this is still in a more of a green field. I think the construction is yet to happen. And last month, we also had classes starting at our Abu Dhabi campus. You can also see a photo of Abu Dhabi campus, which probably reminds you of IIT Delhi, the Dogra Hall, hyperbolic paraboloid roof, which we have emulated there. So Abu Dhabi campus is completely funded by UAE government. We just started with master's program. We are going to have a UG program starting from the summer, this session 2024. And the UG program will have some students who are the local Emiratis, some expatriates and international students, and a significant percentage will also come from JEE. So the JEE students will have another option to tick whether they want to go to Housecast campus or Abu Dhabi campus as a part of that. So this is some data about the research and innovation. I think at your time probably the teaching was very primary, research and innovation was still, but I think now there is a lot of knowledge creation and knowledge application activities which happen on the campus. And not only people are looking at, campus is looking at just producing the people who will go and innovate, but also innovations coming from the campus in terms of products and solutions which have reached people is also now one of the major activities. And the Research and Innovation Park is one of the prime areas where this happens. And also there's a lot of international collaborations which of course started very early, but I think there is a lot of acceleration and the number of programs have also increased in terms of MOUs for student exchange, faculty exchange. Even we had some of the joint classes with international students, joint innovation and boot camps were all part of these activities which we had. And of course, with all these things, we also have serious challenges. Everything is not rosy as probably it looks like. For example, I think one of the biggest problem is space and aging infrastructure. Probably when you visit hostel, you'll also see that they're not in the same condition, and students don't have the same experience as you had. Our idea is to basically provide that. Currently, we are not able to provide hostel accommodation to about 2,000 students who are actually staying outside. All the undergraduate students are accommodated, all the female students are accommodated. But I think male students who are graduate, the postgraduate students, many of them still stay outside the campus. We also have a plan, I'll come to that. Government is also now saying with 23 IITs in place, they are expecting that the older IITs having stayed for 60 plus years will probably be slowly move towards self-sufficiency, including financial sustainability. That's an expectation from the government. So if you really look at per student funding which we are getting, it's strong decline. But I think at the same time we are also improving our own internal resource generation mechanisms in a big way to do that. And when the classes become very large, I don't know what was the biggest size, you may have 40, 50 or 60 students, but now we also have a classes with 250 students and 500 students. So when you have classes which are very big, of course practicals still happen in smaller groups, but I think the lecture classes are very big. Giving the same experience in a smaller class is always a challenge, and that's definitely one thing which we are trying to look at, how to probably use the technology and innovation to provide the same experience. And we have also, I think as I said, as the campus has grown, we are also pretty inclusive and diverse. Almost like 2/3 of our students come through some affirmative action now, which is there. But I think it has also brought because these are best students, whatever may be the category which they come, and we actually now truly represent India in a way. I don't know, when you were students or maybe even later, most of the students who used to come were primarily from the middle class. Middle class used to be this thing. But now we get like 250, 300 students from very low income families. Now, why is that happening is that there are a number of agencies which have come up which pick very bright 12th class, 10th class students and give them a JE coaching, free JE coaching from Navodaya and other this thing. So we get about 250 to 300 students who actually can't pay the tuition. But very good thing is that we are able to support all of them for their tuitions through alumni funding. Alumni has been very liberal in various ways to support. For example, if the family income is typically like, if it is below 5 lakhs, government gives some waiver. The rest of the waiver is provided by the alumni. We are now able to go up to something like 5 to 9 lakhs or even 10 lakhs family income students to provide them their tuition waivers or partial support in terms of tuition. And also attracting and retaining faculty is always a challenge. I think Professor Anshul is also here. Areas such as computer science, it's not very easy. For example, we started a school of artificial intelligence and still looking for very bright faculty. Because for such people, they have to make multiple decisions, whether they would like to go to industry, which is very attractive, or come to academics, or if it is academics, whether it's US or India. If it is India, whether it's IISc, IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi. So I think you have to really compete for these students to provide the best academic experience to attract them. And we are also on that path. We also give them some very good seed grants and some early fellowships to attract these faculty in certain areas. But our alumni engagement has certainly increased, and alumni is coming in number of ways to support. I think financial is just one aspect, but I think what we feel is the biggest wealth which IIT Delhi has is the intellectual wealth which these 60,000 alumni bring. And I think it's not only in terms of infrastructure and others, but also in terms of people coming and lecturing. As we are discussing, there are about 11 alumni who are actually doing a 2-credit course for students in entrepreneurship. It's completely run by about 10 alumni who have done extremely well in entrepreneurship, and they are now giving their time to do this 2 months course, grooming new generation entrepreneurs among students, etc. So it's number of ways in which alumni come. We also have a mentor-mentee program. You'll also get a glimpse of students and their aspirations in the afternoon when you meet them in the networking session. But I think one of the realization has been that students connect with alumni better than their own faculty, staff, and others, because I'm sure the moment you say faculty, you think of a certain relationship which has this thing, but I think the moment you say alumni, you immediately connect. And if it is from the same hostel, it becomes immediately attractive. So we are also trying to see, since we have large number of alumni, how can we associate at least a 1 or 2 alumni for students to mentor them. There is a mentor-mentee program which is also is picking up as a part of this particular process. And alumni have supported in number of ways. Thanks to your batch has done number of things for the institute, and particularly the most of the batches. So the way alumni have contributed is both in terms of giving one-time donations like the sports complex to fixed tenure projects. Like when we started School of Artificial Intelligence, one of the alumni came and funded the entire school for the naming. Similarly, we are also trying to increase the unrestricted fund. Unrestricted fund gives a flexibility to institute to use, particularly in cases, particularly not the principal but the interest which you earn from these funds for certain purposes which are very urgent and immediate. And as I said, almost every alumni is contributing in some way or the other. Coming to hostels, so 5 old hostels have lived their life. We are actually now going for reconstruction of these hostels soon, probably in phases. Right now the hostels are ground +3, but I think we can go up to ground +7, and I think there are probably permissions to go up to ground +9, which we are exploring. The new FAR rules allow you to go to ground +9. Idea is to double or increase the capacity so that more students can be accommodated in these hostels. From Kumaon to Nilgiri, all the hostels will probably go into that. As we are building our campuses in Sonipat and also Jhajjar, and also a lot of constructions which are happening in this thing, we are looking at something like 2,500 crores of infrastructure projects in next 10 years, 5 to 10 years. And we are expecting that hostel portion will be done by alumni, because alumni are very close to hostel. We haven't still launched a campaign. We'll do that and probably come to all the people to do that. And batches are coming back both as a reunion and as this thing to support many of these activities. Thanks to 1974 graduating batch, having done many things already, and we look forward to all your support. So a big thank you for your generosity, which you have done. So I think with this, I'll just say have a great reunion, and look forward to more reunions, the Diamond and others, as we go into future, and have a great next 2-3 days in the campus. Thank you. So what we'll do is, thanks for. I'm also joined by Dean Academics, Dr. Kurur Narayanan. Professor Narayanan is a professor in chemistry and looks after those 13,000 students, academics. It's a great responsibility. So what we'll do is we can take up some of the questions. In the meantime, when the director joins, he can also say a few words and more questions can be. Which one? Oh, these ones? Oh, Jajjar. Yeah. So it's Jajjar campus is still being planned. I think one of the things with Jajjar will have large research centers, etc. Maybe a lot of academics will still happen in this campus, which is there. About both Jajjar and Sonipat are about 50 kilometers from here. Delhi, and there is also there is a new infrastructure like fast metro rails, etc. are coming up. So we are also going to probably use those.
Now transportation will improve, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, you say these courses are basically emerging courses, no? These subjects are interdisciplinary mainly. So what about the faculty, the availability in India, or how are you going to, what is the plan? So I just wanted to know. So I worked in a similar field.
Thank you. Thank you. So one of the things is, if you really look at, institute has also expanded beyond science and engineering. You know, we have a department of design, we have a management department. Social science programs are very big, and we have school for public policy. So even in terms of faculty, we are not just restricted to science and engineering right now. It has expanded, and that's why we are able to float new type of courses. Yeah, please, you want to add? No, I think there are volunteers. So I think the interaction with industries is pretty large now. Was the research and innovation part. One of the purpose of that is to have joint activities with industry. So, for example, if you want to have a joint lab with industry, this facility is available, and there are already number of such labs have been set up. Industry is also coming forward, not only funding fixed time projects, but there are also, we have centers of excellence funded by industry in certain specific areas there. And we also allow industry people to come and serve as a faculty, as a professor of practice. So professor of practice is a 5-year term for people who have wealth of industry experience and now would like to share their knowledge, etc., and come and associate with a department and serve as a professor of a practice. So there are number of I would say initiatives which are there, but I think there is still a lot of scope, particularly in terms of our research funding. A large portion still comes from government. The idea is to increase the component of research coming from industry to a much larger percentage.
just a little curious, you know, the proportion of BTech program that students has declined over the years. There are two related things. One is that, is it by design? Second, is this also true of other IITs?
Professor Kuru, Dean Academics, and let me also introduce. We are also joined by Professor Rangan Banerjee, director, director. Shifts to research, and that has happened for all the older IITs. So we currently have 3,700 PhD students in our total cohort of 12,700. And so masters and PhD together is about 60%. The undergraduates have also been growing, and the growth in the undergraduates has been often dictated by national concerns and ministry requirements, and that's how we sort of scale. So as faculty members are being focused on research, and research is done by, of course, we also have research engineers and research scientists, but in terms of students, it is predominantly masters and PhD students who are doing those. We also have some postdoctoral. So to answer your question, whether it was strategically thought of or it just evolved, it is a question in which the institution, as it evolved and the faculty members decided, faculty members wanted to have specialized programs, master's programs and PhD, and we are seeing that kind of a growth. We have an issue in terms of the infrastructure has not been able to keep pace with our aspirations, and that's happened with many of the government funded institutions in the country. So we are also constrained by having the smallest campus among the larger IITs, just 320 acres. The Kharagpur is 1,000 plus. Kanpur is also very large. Even Mumbai has 500 and something, 550 acres. So we've been given two additional additional spaces by the Haryana government, 50 acres each in Sonipat and Jhajjar. But there is a challenge because multi-campus people. I mean, naturally being in the heart of Delhi in house class, and so that's a challenge that we have. We've also now started our first campus outside the country. We started a campus in Abu Dhabi, and that has just started this year. We've got a small piece of land in RK Puram, 2.3 acres, very near our campus, and that's something where we plan to build an international students hostel as well as some faculty housing. Yeah, so you can answer other questions. Yeah, I think there are many questions probably.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there a program for faculty exchange with international engineering and research institutions? People going from here or outside and those coming from abroad to teach a course or two for a while over here.
So we have several international collaborations. Many of them are so on a faculty level. There are faculty exchanges that we do have, and most of our faculty colleagues do spend summers in various universities. We have currently a small cohort of international faculty also on the campus, and it's a small number, but we do have, the exchanges. In terms of faculty members, we have a visiting faculty initiative for international faculty to come and spend some time here, but this is something which we want to scale, to enhance that.
I have observed
over the time period that a lot of IIT alumni, they joined the government services and they all worked under the IAS people, and in no way they were less than IAS in terms of brilliance, hard work, or foresight, or whatever. Why should not they be at par with IAS people? Why should the IAS people direct them and not they direct the IAS people? Why should it be? Why they should be one notch below the IAS? In what way are they less than IAS?
Well, I am not the right person to answer that question. I think we have, interestingly, IIT Delhi alumni are in many of the IAS officers. When we signed recently in the last week, we signed 2 agreements. One was with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, where they're instituting a chair. The secretary there happens to be an IIT Delhi alumnus. We just signed a project with the Ministry of Rural Development, where we are looking at GIS and additional tools to see how, at the micro level, looking at planning and interfacing with MN Manrega. In that, the joint secretary or the additional secretary, one of them was an IIT Delhi. So we have our people everywhere. And the question, of course, that you raise is a different question. It's about the structure of the bureaucracy, and it's for a separate conversation, not something which we is in our span of control.
I'd like to reinforce what you just now said. I think the best place to beat the system is to join the system. And the fact that a lot of the engineers and pass outs from the IITs are getting into the IAS and IFS and IFS, IPS, they are beating the system and taking command and control over areas where they were earlier dominated by pure IAS officers who were probably from the history or other liberal arts streams. So I definitely see a change has already started happening, and is only increasing steam over the period.
So let me also, the other question which was there about industry and research, let me just highlight a little bit on that. Dean, of course, has given you the answer, but typically, today, IIT Delhi will do annually about 450 crores of research funding. Of that, about 50 crores comes from industry, and that industrial funded projects are growing. We have various modes of industry interaction. At the simplest level is a consultancy project. That means the industry has a specific problem. They approach us, we identify a faculty member, he or she works with the industry and solves that problem. Then we have sponsored research projects, which are more longer duration, where there's and we will hire some of our students will get involved, and then that gets funded. We also have professors of practice, that is people from industry who are faculty members, either full-time, coming here for a couple of years, or few days in a week, 2 days, 3 days kind of engagement. And we have about 17 or 18 such professors of practice in all the departments, so that we give a different kind of flavor. We have industry-sponsored masters, industry-sponsored PhDs. We also have these centers of excellence, which Professor Rao talked about. We have 23 such centers of excellence where we talk of a domain, let's say renewable. We have a center of excellence from Renew Power, which happens to be one of our alumnus who is the CEO of that company. And it looks at, for 5 years, a number of different projects. Many faculty members get involved, and that's it. We also have modes where we work jointly. We had this project where we built coal to methanol, a pilot project. It is done in Thermax, and the pilot plant is in Pune. It's done with our simulation, our modeling, and our faculty members. It's funded by the government. So you have a
a three-way kind of thing. We are looking at many other models, and in our research and innovation park, we want industry to co-locate here, and TCS has agreed, and there's a Japanese company, Mitsui, who's also taken up space. So the idea is you can have your own people, you can have your own office, and the idea is you are here at IIT Delhi, so you have access to the resources and you will have many interactions with the IIT. So we want to have a way in which we blend and we work together with industry to solve problems and create impact.
I have one question. When we met last time for the 25-year reunion, the thinking in the faculty was that we should not expand anywhere outside India. Can you throw some light on why this policy or the thinking has changed over the last 25 years?
Okay, I'm not sure I can give you the entire 25-year trajectory. I can tell you our thinking of why. Well, in a sense, there was a committee, it was the Radhakrishnan committee created by the council with the chairman of IIT Kanpur and the directors of many of the IITs to look at IITs and whether IITs should go global. And that committee recommended that the IITs should, under certain conditions, go globally. In this particular case, it was a national government decision, where the government decided, because of the strategic linkage with the UAE, where the UAE wanted an IIT to be set up there. We were told that Indian higher education coming of age, and the government felt that if anyone is to go internationally as a mark of our education coming of age, where there is a requirement from the government, it is to be the IITs, and that is why we were asked to do that. That is how we have taken that decision. So yeah, so that's basically it. But having said that, in this particular case, our partner is the Abu Dhabi Education ADE, and they are actually very keen. It's an initiative completely funded by the UAE government and ADE, and they are very keen to see that we have quality education which is relevant to the UAE needs and consistent with the IIT Delhi mindset. They want to have the same level of quality, and that is why they insisted. Actually, we were very keen to do initially something like a joint venture where we support it, but they were very keen that it should be an IIT Delhi campus only, not a joint campus which is with IIT Delhi involvement. And they insisted on it, and our ministry also supported that. So that's the way it has gone. The first MTech program that we've started there, which already started in January, is on energy transitions and sustainability. And this program is funded by their oil company. And we have several sponsored candidates from the ADNOC, which is the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, and that. They've actually created in the temporary campus that we have a replica of the Dogra Hall, and then the starting. It's quite a nice. If you are in the UAE, please do let us know. Please let our dean know, and we will be happy to have you visit our Abu Dhabi campus. It's quite a nice campus. Of course, it's still evolving, but we've done it in about a little more than a year, which is very, very tough. But and we'll be starting our UG programs later this year also.
My question was about the IIT brand for the last 50 years. It's like Caltech to me, that it has stood as a brand for engineering excellence around the world. So as we widen the scope with a large number of different programs, there is some dilution that we create in its engineering, in its brand as a brand of engineering excellence. What is the process you determine? Sort of, how do you make trade-offs in diluting the engineering excellence brand versus widening, horizontal widening of other areas that you're creating? Because part of me, having lived here and sort of my own blood, attached to IIT, part of me says that we should have remained in excellence in engineering. We should have sort of kept the scope narrow and deep. But I accept widening as a useful thing, but you must have some mechanism in which you're deciding. Otherwise, you become Delhi University and sort of become every discipline possible. How do you choose what to get into and what not to get into? I'll answer it and then you can go ahead. I know, I add after I answer. So I think it's a very important question that you raised.
As an extended part of the same question,
Can you get the mic?
I was wondering that if people were able to align, with national priorities, maybe with national opportunities, whether it's defense or chip making or AI, and then we kind of, each IIT, especially the senior IITs, chooses one particular stream and goes whole hog for that to become a world-class entity. Rather than to spread ourselves thin across several, wider kind of opportunities that, like he was mentioning, we build a core competency around one this thing, because around that, then you're able to garnish a lot of other people to, kind of bring the synergy to what you're doing. So, and who better than IIT than to kind of, align it with some kind of a larger perspective and choose for yourself what you want to be.
Yeah, I think very valid points, both. So I just like to, and then Ambuj will add on. I just like to say a couple of things. One is that, yes, there are trade-offs, but the fact is that, we are looking at creating, we want to be, if you are looking at excellence in education, we have to give a holistic perspective to students. And most institutions, whether you look at Caltech, the implicit assumption in that is there is a dilution, and that is something which is not, we believe that we retain our strength in science and engineering, but in order to be able to provide the well-rounded education that is needed for the future generations, we need to, we become like we are a full-fledged, a diverse, multidisciplinary higher educational institute with a focus on science and engineering. The focus on science and engineering remains. It does not mean that it's not the same. I mean, we've created a department of design, we've created a school of public policy. All of these are needed to make the engineers have the perspectives needed to make the role that they need in society. Now, the second part of the question that you have, and of course is what is the mechanism that we have? So we have a Senate, and believe me, the discussions and debates in the Senate are extremely strong, and there are people who do believe in this. But my sense is, when you look at a problem in reality, these silos that we have are mindsets. So a good engineer will need to have a perspective on economics, will need to have. So I think gone are those days, these silos are breaking, and if we want to be relevant, we need to be able to provide students the flexibility and the perspectives. I think Ambuj will add more.
Yeah, I think I'll just add on, and partly because this question cuts uh, uh, close to my own background, right? I'm an engineer from here. I went out to do graduate studies in the US in engineering. My PhD is in engineering. But during the course of my studies, I realized that there are a lot of questions. If engineering is intended to, as I say, build a better world, many of the questions relate to the social aspects of the application of science and technology, right? So let's take the example of climate change, right? Climate change, addressing climate change is not only a technical question, it's not only a scientific question. It is fundamentally a question that involves societal transformations, and therefore you cannot engage in that transformation without having a sense of the other dimensions. So I think, and really build on what Ranjan said, I don't think it's actually dilution, it's actually the opposite. It is making sure that our education stays relevant for today's world, that we are training students who can not only understand technical aspects, but also have an understanding between that and the broader world, right? I did my PhD at MIT, and I think that makes MIT an outstanding institution that has continued to have relevance, not just in the world of science and engineering, but also in many other domains. When the US wants to take major policy decisions relating to science and engineering, they actually call the MIT president, right? Because they're expecting that person to have that broader perspective. I think that's exactly the kind of things IIT should be doing if we want to be guiding government on saying, how do you think about India's science and technology future? That's not purely a technical conversation. So I think what we are doing is actually making sure that IIT stays, builds on its past strengths, but then is able to stay relevant for a changing future and contribute not just to industry, but also to public policy, and also making sure that our students, many of them who do go work in civil society, are also able to make a contribution there. And I think that also relates to the other question that was asked, right? In terms of how do we think about priorities? We're actually doing a visioning process at IIT Delhi right now to think about what are the big thrust areas that we should be focusing on as an institutional priority. That doesn't mean faculty members individually will not be doing their own research, which they're free to do as faculty members. But as institutionally, how do we strategically focus on a few areas where we're able to both create large impact, whether it's in the world of knowledge or in terms of societal impact, where we're able to build synergies across faculty members across campus. And you're absolutely right, we can't do it in everything. We're moving forward. I think it's going to be possibly 2-3 areas. Energy, climate, and sustainability is likely to be one because it's so important and so many students are interested in this, and actually it's a societal question that every industry is coping with. I think it's an area we cannot not be in. There are a couple of other areas, possibly things relating to healthcare and all of that. Again, we have very deep strengths. We also have a very strong computer science and allied department, so maybe questions relating to data and computation, society, AI, I mean, huge societal questions. So we're in the process of thinking about how we will engage in that. But again, I think it's really incumbent on us to make sure we keep on evolving so that we're staying relevant for the future. We have students who are getting the right kind of training. We're able to attract faculty members who are on the cutting edge and the kind of work they want to do, and yet the outside world sees us as being extremely impactful. I think that's exactly what we are trying to do, building on the past, but thinking about how do we make sure that for the future we are able to even be more impactful and relevant. That killed the conversation.
That was very well said. I have a
and sufficient maybe. Now if you go into design or architecture, there are further subspecialties there. So there is no end to it. So basically, I mean, you have answered, I don't know.
But I think maybe just
lack of time.
maybe I'll just add one couple of lines to this. even when we are going into these new areas, we're not going to, so I'll give you an example about the School of Public Policy. The School of Public Policy at IIT Delhi by design is not going to be a full service School of Public Policy. We've said it's a School of Public Policy that focuses on policy questions at the intersection of science, technology, and major development challenges, right? So it's an entity that is designed to add value at IIT and to also engage with the rest of IIT community.
Management and making to an extent combined.
Correct.
We have a Department of Management Studies which is actually quite well rated in the management.
There was a slide on startup products. Could you tell us something more about the startup products here and about the incubators for students running at IIT?
Sure. So we have a society called FIT, where we are looking at incubation, technology transfer. We have a technology business incubator, and we encourage our students and faculty members to create startups. We provide funds. We are also providing an opportunity, a window of about 3 years where the startup is actually part of our technology business incubator, and then it graduates. So as of now, today we may have, I think, of the order of about 200 startups currently in our ecosystem. Some are in various stages of incubation. Not all of them are student or faculty incubators. We recently asked our alumni to look at our technology business incubation and our incubation ecosystem, and we had a group of alumni and venture capitalists looking at it. They made us a presentation, and as a result, as we are talking now, there is a venture studio being run by our alumni for our students, and I think it was oversubscribed. There were some 300 plus students wanting to be part of it. Finally, we have taken some 30 students for it. So we have an innovation ecosystem, but we want to strengthen and enhance that, and we are taking the help of alumni to do that. I think Professor Rao or Ambuj may have something to add related to this. We also had some initiatives. There was a nurture fund where we had some funding from alumni for startups. We've had alumni mentors coming in and talking to students, talking about entrepreneurship and incubation. Today, some percentage of our students are keen on being entrepreneurs and incubation, and we're trying to support that. We have several funds in some domains, for instance, through BIRAC in the biotech area. We have some things where we have medical devices. We have separate funds channelized through governments, again, for support for many of these. So we do have an ecosystem, and we are sort of, but we are looking at ways to enhance that. You want to add?
Yeah. So I think a large number of startups which are presently incubated also have a pool of, the grants and these things available. These are primarily come from 3 sources. One is there are government funded things like Ministry of Electronics and Communication has an incubation fund. Similarly, Department of Biotechnology has a fund, etc. Then we also have an industry driven. For example, Boeing funds some of the startups in a certain specific areas who are interested. Then there are also a lot of alumni funded. For example, one of the very recent alumni came and said he would like to give 16 lakh grants to students to start with. And this is grant, this is not a loan or anything. And but I think they similarly 89 batches starting to set up another fund like that. So in other words, the students who want to be entrepreneurs, 2 things. Financial resources are coming from various things. Of course, this is the first seed grant. For the next grant, then they have to probably go and raise that. And also now mentorship was something which was lacking. Now I think we have bridged that gap. Large number of alumni are now available as a mentors to students to take their ventures ahead.
We've also provided a safety net in the sense that, you know, a student in the final year, let's say a fourth year student, he or she decides, I want to try, I want to do a startup, they can get they opt out of the placement process, and after 2 years they can come back into the placement process if things don't go as well as they want, and then, so we have the option of the deferred placement, we've kept that also.
I have a general question. You know, the last 50 years, this is might be my third or fourth trip to IIT Delhi, and I hold myself fully guilty of that, the lapse in not coming here more often. But you know, when I talk to some of my friends from other IITs, all around the same age, they seem to be very, very involved with their IIT. And I'm talking about Kanpur and Bombay and so on and so forth. So is it something that we're doing wrong that we should do more of, or is something that you can do more to sort of make us come back a little bit more often here and get involved in some of the things that are happening here? It's a very open question. I don't know the answer.
It's an open question. I'd like to see the answer to that question. I think what we need to do is we need to have, and I've been talking to we need to have more active ways of engaging with alumni chapters. See, the alumni interfaces amongst the alumni and alumni with the institute. My sense is the number of chapters that we have in various parts of the world and active chapters is relatively less compared to a few of the IITs that you've mentioned. I've been familiar with some of those, and we've been talking to the Alumni Association, and Professor Rao and the Alumni Office has been trying, and we've been, in the last year, we've been seeing many more alumni visits to our campus, but I think it is one of the things where we need to do more. And I don't want to get into the issue of whether it's the alumni or it's the institute, but together we need to figure out why this is so, because there is a goodwill, there is a connect. We need to, you're absolutely right. I completely agree with your conclusion, but we can talk offline about what are the steps. And Professor Rao will tell you some of the steps that they have planned.
I think, are we running out of time?
Yeah, friends, we have a lot of things to exchange. This is really good, but we don't have so much time.
I think I'll just answer this and then.
Yeah, kindly bear with us.
So I think thanks for bringing out this question, and I think we were also thinking along the same lines. Earlier, the alumni office used to be very small, where you were probably working more as a reactive if alumni would like to engage. But I think now we have about 12 staff, and it's more proactive. Just to give an example, we are doing 14 reunions in the last 3-4 months, which is there, bringing many people to do that. And this engagement also we are starting very early. For example, for all the reunions which are going to come in 2025 January and 2024 December, we already had few meetings, which is a very early engagement, etc. But I fully agree that there is a huge scope, as you mentioned, and also we relied to some extent on association to drive the chapters, but I think that did not happen now. We are also kind of involved strongly in this thing, so there are chapter meets which are happening internationally in March and April in various parts of the world.
I have a politically sensitive question here. Is that 50 years ago, many of us, or at least some of us, were concerned about two issues. One was what we call student participation in decision making, which really meant is that the authorities were not listening to students. The channels were listening to students. And the second was, there was a perception among us that the IITs are heavily controlled by the government, that there isn't enough autonomy given to IITs. So I just want to hear how things have changed.
I think this is really the last question.
I think the answer to that question can take an hour. But I think to two things. The first thing about student engagement and involvement. It's always an issue of how much we are listening to students. We have student representatives on the Senate, and we have, so we are trying to see that this is an issue where in curriculum, in everything that we are trying to understand and listen more to the students. This has always been in every institution, but we've been trying to do that. The second thing about government control, well, we are a publicly funded institution, and that has its advantages and disadvantages. Every institution, someone or the other will have control over our academic choices, our curriculum, we have complete control. Our funding today predominantly is still from government sources. So we do not have financial control because our we've not been able to do that. This is the way it is, and so we can talk offline separately if you wish to discuss this in more detail, but I think in a sense there are many checks and balances in the system, and because we are an institution, whether it is the alumni or the society has a lot of respect for us, so I think this does give us reasonable amount of flexibility within. There are constraints, of course, but there are constraints all over the world in any institution. So I've tried to give you a politically correct answer, but to your sensitive question, it is natural in any. See, there is a lot of aspiration from us, and so when, for instance, when we are asked to increase our numbers or to do that, that is something that we have to respond. And there are things, so for instance, there were questions in terms of, any new mission which is there. IITs are often we are asked to contribute in many of these. We were involved in the 5G test bed. So there are many things which are part of this, and this is something which has to be navigated. But we do have, through our Senate and through our systems and processes, a way to see that we ensure that the academic directions, the research guidelines are consistent with what we want to do.
Thank you, and I think probably the next program is probably now the organizers will take over and then this thing. Should I?
Yeah, I request Professor Kumar to read out a message from our very respected Professor S.C. Bhatia.
Good morning. So here is the message we have received from Professor Bhatia. He was professor in electrical engineering when we were there, and he continued for several years even after that. I met him recently. He was visiting hospital with his son. His son is currently a professor in electrical engineering, and Professor Bhatia is staying with him. He is on the campus. So at that time when I met him, I informed him that we are having a program like this, and we are trying to invite faculty members of our time. But because of medical reasons, he was not sure that he'll be able to come. So I'll just read out his message. On this joyful occasion, you, my dear ex-students of 1974 batch, are back to the institute. I warmly welcome you. This institute has given all of us so much, that we cannot even think of returning even an iota of them. However, each of you can contribute to further development of this institute by contributing generously to the alumni fund, and by other means like acting as visiting faculty for 3 to 6 months without any salary, and interacting with the students and faculty as much as you can, by encouraging your children to study here and be responsible citizens, giving their time freely to the service of the underprivileged, etc., etc. In an earlier batch reunion where I was present, I could not recognize, I think he is referring to golden reunion of one batch senior to us, 73 batch. In an earlier batch reunion where I was present, I could not recognize most of them. I actually thought, because either they have lost all their hair, I think same thing holds for our batch too, or have grown a beard, or have become either slimmer or have grown laterally, which in common parlance is called fat. I could recognize some of them only when they spoke or smiled, because of the characteristics way of each of them. Seeing them, I did not feel old, but behaved like one of them, which must have cheered them. Due to unavoidable circumstances, I am not able to be present personally in this happy gathering, but be assured that I have been, I am, and I shall be with you all your life, with my blessing and good wishes. Jai Hind. I also communicated with Sir R.G. Mendirata, who was in the physics department, and if you remember, he was teaching modern physics. So he happens to be staying. He is my neighbor actually. So he also said. He says, "Hi Anshul, in spite of my intense desire to attend the function, I am sorry I will not be able to do so due to some health problems. I have been advised not to take any strain and take rest as much as possible. I greatly appreciate your invitation, and I hope you understand this. My best wishes for the success of the grand function, R.D. Mendirata." Okay.
Thank you, Professor Datta Roy, Professor Vediratta, for taking time out to send a message. So nice, so fun. Now I think it's a good opportunity to talk about giving back, and in some cases it is giving forward. So giving back, giving forward by class of 1969. When I show this, it is with some sense of pride that our batch has been able to do a little bit for our alma mater. And it is also with a strong dose of humility that perhaps we could have done more. So let's see. First up is Subhash Rajdan. He was awarded Pravasi Bharatiya Samman award in 2013. That is February 22 Subhash Rajdan Day in Georgia, USA. I don't know how many people knew that. And we don't have time to talk about those plus. Ashwini Gupta, Vinod Mahendru, they were awarded the Distinguished Alumnus Award. Outstanding contribution to national development, P. Rajendran. IIT Delhi Alumni Association honored him with an award for outstanding contribution for national development. He's also donated a scholarship. Vipan Kumar, he earned President's Police Medal for distinguished service. Ravi Sandhu, elected as a fellow to the US National Academy of Inventors for outstanding inventions that have made a tangible impact on quality of life, economic development, and the welfare of society. Ashwini Gupta, uh, instituted a chair in the name of his father, Amar Singh Gupta Chair of Decision Sciences. Vinod Mahendru also donated significant amount of equipment for semiconductor fabrication. Anil and Veera Kriplani, they made an endowment in 2013 to honor parents for the Mathur Seminar Hall and the Kriplani Applied Technology Lab, both in the Khosla building for information technology. Rakesh Makhija was president of Honeywell India, probably the only IIT alumnus who, after spending a lifetime in hardcore engineering, became head of a major bank. There are other contributions also by him. Harry Gujral, chairman of the Environmental Authority of Punjab State, a statutory authority notified by the Indian government. Then there are a number of batchmates who served as faculty and research staff at IIT Delhi. So first up is Anshul Kumar, myself, Shashi Kumar, Umesh Kumar. We can see the departments and the years that we served the institute. Chair in the name of Professor Anshul Kumar. So the total donation had a contribution from many batches, but I think a strong component was provided by our batch under the leadership of Kamal Mansharamani. As the CEO of Birlasoft, Kamal also organized a contribution from the company in the Vision 2020 program organized by the Alumni Association with very constructive suggestions in multiple areas. There are people who have instituted awards to honor their family, parents, etc. Nalin Kant Sharda. He established the Dr. Krishna Sharda Award in the memory of his mother for a female PhD student at IIT Delhi. Sandip Bhatia and family, 2 awards instituted in the memory of his father and brother, namely Dr. Ram Prakash Bhatia Award and Dr. Sanjeev Bhatia Research Excellence Award in Biomedical Sciences. Myself, in the memory of my mother, we instituted Srimati Pavitra Devi Award for a female, preferably for a female student, excelling in both academics and Hindi activities. The first award was given in 2023, and next year onwards it will be 2 awards. We have alumni who have been engaging with the institute, with the students, Jagdish Ahuja and Mukesh Ketrapal, in career guidance to students. And this is a good point to talk about the student interaction that's been organized in the afternoon through the efforts of one of our batchmates, Sandip Bhatia, and the Alumni Association and the student groups. The program has evolved much better than we had envisioned. And we are going to be able to talk about 120 students taken from different years, and they'll be talking to about 35 batchmates who've been excelling in their respective fields. So I hope a lot of you will be able to join that. A number of batchmates have made donations to the endowment fund as and when appeals come in. And that's the end of giving back, but I hope it will continue in the future. Now I give you a glimpse of the cover of the yearbook, which has been brought out through a very close collaboration between our batch and the Office of the Alumni Relations. So may I request Aman, who's been very dedicatedly supporting this effort, and our batchmates Manu Anand and Jacob Thomas. Yeah, please come on the stage. Photo, please. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. This is the fun part that we'll be getting a glimpse of today and having actual the physical evidence tomorrow. But what I wanted to say is a lot of you were working in the front end, in other words, contributing to, with your articles, with your memories to the yearbook. But behind the scenes, we have to appreciate Aman Mehta. He's from the alumni office. And it was really a pleasure working with Aman. He had already, this is something we learned as we started this effort back in May of last year, that there was already a backbone, a plan that Aman had for how the yearbook is to be designed. And he shared that with us. He let us format it to, our specific needs, and he worked with us all throughout. So here's a little token of appreciation for Aman. The other thing I want to say is that this was really a group effort. There's a yearbook team, and I want to recognize those people, starting with Jake Thomas. Could not have done it without Jake. Sorry? All right, so there were 7 of us who worked on the yearbook team, and you'll hear more about everyone. But thank you to the team, and thank you to all of you for making the yearbook a success. We had a very large response, exceeding our expectations. So this will be a good, tangible, a book, memory, pictures, and all to take back with you and share with your family and grandchildren. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Aman, once again, and thank you, Manu and Jake. Time now to express our gratitude to our alma mater and to propose a vote of thanks for the great organization of the Institute Day. So may I request Nalanda Jain, NK Jain, he's been called by various names. I don't know all of those. Yeah, please come. After our expression of gratitude, we'll all move out for the group photo from the back door, so we don't have to go around. Yeah, please.
Honorable Director, Professor Raymond, sorry, not used to public speaking. Honorable Director, Professor Rangan Banerjee, respected Dean, Alumni Relations, Professor P.V.M. Rao, esteemed members of the faculty, and those visionary people who conceived and created this eminent institution of high learning. My dear friends and ladies, today on this occasion of golden reunion of batchmates of the class of 1969, I, on behalf of all of us, express my deep gratitude to this hallowed institution, its faculty members, and to all institute and hostel staff who made our 5 years of golden period of learning, growing up here in IIT Delhi a grand success. To my mind, sometimes comes a question, Why join an IIT? The answer comes bang on. Whatever we have achieved in life, whatever high status that we enjoy, the excellence in our work ethics, and the admiration that we receive anywhere we go, or from all the younger generations, is all because of our great alma mater. IIT not only turned us into very confident engineers, but also gave us a branding which is acclaimed internationally. The innumerable opportunities of learning from the most learned faculty, the fully appointed labs, the fully equipped library with facilities to borrow precious books overnight, and many endless facilities could only be provided by this grand institution. The most fulfilling and cherished past, full of fond memories, were the 5 grand years of life spent in our hostels. The joyous freedom, either to unknown, the wild ideas of mischief, the ragging of freshmen, the teasing of shy classmates. Razan did a lot. The interaction with the girls from LSR college, again, Razan takes the cake. The reading of floor waste rooms for the sweet halwa sent by our mothers, Razan again did the same. Takes me back into those grand years. The unnerving stress of distressful last-minute preparation for exams. The scare of getting a supplementary contributed to making the adolescent teenagers into confident young engineers. At this late juncture in life, I do not see any failure of our technical expertise and look back with deep, deep satisfaction. For this excellence in technical know-how, further quest for learning, taking on the challenges, I thank you, IIT Delhi. I bow to you, IIT Delhi, and I shall be forever grateful to you. Thank you. Now, vote of thanks. Vote of thanks for the faculty, for the institute. A heartful vote of thanks for the Honorable Director, Sir Professor Rangan Banerjee, of Dean of Alumni, Professor P.V.M. Rao, who not only welcomed the organizing team, but also helped them in helped them in meticulous planning, which was executed by the Dean's office staff. The alumni registration today, addressed by the director, unfortunately I think it didn't happen, and addressed by the Dean, and now the forthcoming lunch, the visit to hostel, interaction with the students, and of course the memento that they are going to give to us. Not to forget the painstaking, back-breaking preparation of the yearbook which she just told us about. I think I will get it tomorrow by Dean's office and our batchmates. A round of applause is due for Director Professor Banerjee, Dean Professor Rao, their magnanimity in making all the facilities, resources available to our organizing team, and for the batchmates Kamal, Mansha, Sheel, Sandip Bhatia, and all others who worked tirelessly in organizing this gala event. Thank you.